Call of Duty is one of the most prolific video game titles, especially in the first-person shooter genre. If you have paid attention to my channel, which you most likely haven't even heard of until now, you may notice that I am a hardcore Battlefield fan. I have played every Battlefield except for 2 of them. You may think this review will be a bit biased due to my love of Battlefield titles, but I used to hate Battlefield because of my inability to even play the game and preferred Call of Duty over it. In the early 2000s, when I was just a wee little squid, all I played was Medal of Honor, LEGO Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, and Call of Duty. Medal of Honor and Call of Duty are what made me who I am today. World War II shooters heightened my interest in military history and firearms history. I have played every Call of Duty in existence, all of the PS2, PS3, and PS4 games. Yes, I was a COD fanboy. I have even played the PSP games and the DS games. I was obsessed with Call of Duty up until Advanced Warfare. I started to grow an inner hatred towards Call of Duty after the release of COD Ghosts. When Black Ops 3 was released, I had completely given up on the Call of Duty community, only picking up Black Ops 3 when friends would request me to play the game. I transitioned into playing Battlefield and soon grew into the Battlefield fanboy I am today, so you could say that COD community caused me to transition to Battlefield. When Infinite Warfare was released, I had hoped that it was a boots-on-the-ground shooter. My hatred lowered a bit for about 2 minutes until I saw the exosuits in the corner of the screen for a solid 2 to 3 seconds, I don't know. A week later, I watched a live announcement of Battlefield 1. The trailer blew my mind. It was a great trailer. I was so hyped for the beta to come out. A year after the Infinite Warfare disaster, COD WW2 was announced, and the trailer was released. When I first heard about the game, I was extremely skeptical. A month later, I lost complete faith in Activision and all the developers of the franchise. In my opinion, COD World War II is an utter disaster from all of the historical inaccuracies, the supply drops, and the horrible gameplay. And yes, I have indeed played the game. I actually purchased the game and completely regret it. In this video, I will go over as many mistakes as I could handle before this game broke me at a mental and physical level. This video has been separated into 6 parts. We will be going over historical inaccuracies, the weapons, supply drops, the campaign, the multiplayer, and the zombies. I hope you find this video informational and educational. If you want, I actually made a first video that you could go check out. I'll most likely put it in the link in the description. So without further ado, onto the actual video. Unless you've been living under a rock for the last year, you've probably have heard that COD World War II did not do its homework. There are so many things wrong within the game, ranging from the guns to the people, but especially the guns. So I am going to focus on the guns. But before we get into the gun rant, I'll go over some other mistakes. There is a map that takes place in London, and from what I know, Germany never even touched mainland Britain. There was no female soldiers that served on the front lines or in combat roles in the German, American, British, and French armies. The Panzer II tank did not have a stabilizer in the main turret. The Junkers Ju-87Gs are using Bordkanone 3.7mm anti-tank/bomber onboard autocannons against infantry. Not only do they shoot at a mere 160 rounds per minute, they only had 12 rounds in each cannon, making this inefficient, especially since they could be using them against the Sherman tanks seen off screen instead. The US and German air forces did not have remote control glide bombs at the time. Also, the bomb completely breaks Newton's first law. Now we are going to move into the largest portion of this entire video, the gun rant. The guns are what frustrated me the most. It got to the point of where I wrote 4 pages worth of information as well as made two notepad documents filled to the brim with mistakes, except I accidentally deleted my notepad documents when cleaning out my computer and didn't know for like a month or so, but I still got the hard copy with the mistakes. If I end up finding the notepad documents, I'll definitely make a 3rd video, so let's go on and get on with it, shall we? The PPSH-41 has a PPS-43/42, I guess, magazine, and magazine. Rifles fed with chargers are loaded with 5-round chargers or stripper clips. Chargers are still used no matter the circumstance. Example 1. If a 5-round rifle, like the Springfield 1903 or the Carabiner 98 Kurz, still has 2 to 4 rounds still in the internal magazine, the user still inserts a 5-round charger, overfilling the gun's magazine, but somehow still has only 5 rounds. Example 2. The Lee Enfield No. 4 Mark I, or as they called it in the beta, the Commonwealth rifle, has a 10-round internal magazine. They did not make 10-round chargers since it was difficult to do so with the curvature of the rifle ammunition. Hence the Lee Enfield would use 2 5-round chargers instead of 1. In the game, you only use 1 clip containing 5 rounds to fill the entire 10-round internal magazine. Also, as seen previously, you will still use the clips even though the rifle cannot fit the entire 5 rounds. When inserting the clips on a sniper with a center or top mounted scope, your character will insert the clips in at an angle. For this to be possible, you would have to rotate the entire receiver. For example, the Swiss-Smith-Reuben ZFK-55 rifle. To add on to the clip insertion, the user pushes the clip itself into the rifle with the bullets as well. After this, the clips reappear after pushing the bolt forward, sending the clip into the air. This is caused by the static models that the Call of Duty franchise uses. This means that the bullets and the clip together are one model, hence the bullets cannot separate from the clip because it is a part of the model. The M1903 in-game utilizes the Marine Corps variant specified by the scope, a universal optical scope. The US Army actually used Malcolm M73B1 2.5 times scopes on the M1903A4 equipped with Weaver mounts. The on switch should be in the off position, since the switch functions as a magazine cutoff, and when put in the middle position allows the bolt to be removed. In the on position, it renders the magazine useless, turning the rifle into a single-shot rifle, meaning you must load a round in after every shot. The Johnson 1941 LMG's 25-round magazine is a single-stacked, unlike the one in the game, meaning that the standard and only 25-round magazine is longer than the 25 and 37-round magazine in the game. None of the weapons in the game had extended magazines, with the exception of the MP40 P08 and the M1A1 carbine. The MP40 had a variant that fed through 2 magazines at once. The M1A1 had 30-round box magazines in production. The P08, or the Luger, had 32-round snailed magazines. In the game, it only increases from 8 to 12 rounds. The MG42's magazine is the opposite. The standard MG42 has a 50-round belt. The extended magazine uses a 100-round drum. In real life, the MG42's assault drum could only hold 50-round belts, not 100-round belts. They did produce 100-round and 200-round belts, though. The majority of the weapons just remove or add a curvature to the magazine. In real life, this would actually prevent you from loading in additional rounds. Some add a extremely and unnecessarily long magazine that is way too big compared to the capacity it actually gets. Some get drum magazines, which don't exist for all the guns except for the P08. None of the snipers in the game actually had detachable magazines with the exception of Lee Enfield, but the magazine was usually chained to the gun. The Carabin appears to be a non-existent rifle. The Thompson Model 1928 is not even a 1920 or a 1928A1. It is an M1/M1A1 military service variant. The M1928 had an adjustable Lee-Min peep sight, a compensator, air cooling fins on the barrel, and a top-mounted charging handle. The M1928 in the game has a fixed L sight, the M1A1's triangular guard wings, side-mounted charging handle, fixed stock, identified by the screw in the ring on the side of the stock. Unlike the M1928's detachable stock, no compensator, no air cooling fins. Also, the features mentioned are only found on the M1A1 variants. The only thing found on the M1928 in the game that is on the M1928 in real life is the provision for retaining drum mags that the M1 and the M1A1 lack. The firing pin on all the bolt actions recock themselves before the bolt is cycled. The Carabiner 98 Kurz's bolt is not lifted completely, causing the entire bolt to phase through the receiver. During the beta, it was announced by Reddit users that the 11th map to be in the base game was removed and being put in the Season Pass. This started a lot of controversy. In COD WW2, there is this new system of cosmetic variants ranging from epic to heroic. But if you've paid attention to some of the skins, they hit an opportunity to have more guns in the game. Some skins for the guns are completely different guns altogether. The M1941 Johnson LMG Savior skin is actually the 1941 Johnson rifle, a 10-round clip-fed rifle. The 1941's Cook skin is actually the M1944E1. The STG-44's Red Baron variant is actually the STG-45. The BAR's Flyboy skin is actually the M1918A1. The M3 Grease Gun's Brandy skin is the Polish Blyskowicza SMG, I don't know how to say that. The PPS-41's Duck Soup variant is actually a PPS-43. The Thompson's Wilco skin is actually a 1921 Thompson. The MP40's Do-Re-Mi skin is actually an MP41. The MG15's Blade skin is actually an STG-61 GPMG. The brand's Royalty skin is actually a Japanese Type 99 LMG. The MG42's Zipper skin is actually an MG34. The Carabin's Midnight skin is actually a MAS-44 or a MAS-44. The M1903 Ranger skin is actually an M1903A4, which is what the base M1903 should be. The M1903's Faithful skin is actually a Winchester Model 70. The Luger P08's Elder Tag skin is actually a C93. The P08's Torch skin is actually a Japanese Nambu Type 14. And finally, the 1911's Juno skin is actually an Austrian Steyr Hahn M1912. If COD WW2 really wanted to, they could have actually had an extremely long weapons list. I understand that some of these weapons are extremely similar, but most of them are completely different weapons and made in other countries by different manufacturers. This angers me quite a bit since there's so many lovable weapons that they hid behind the supply drop system. But it gets even worse. Some members of the Reddit community found a folder in the game's files for guns that are not even in the game. The weapons were later added in behind supply drops as well. This transitions well into the next part of the video. Literally everything in the game is hidden behind grinding for the scrappy stuff or grinding for supply drops, if you don't count the actual weapons themselves. With supply drops, you don't even know if you're going to get what you wanted in the first place. This system of gambling and randomness pressures you into purchasing supply drops with real money to increase your profit instead of spending days playing the game. You literally could just slap $20 onto the table and save yourself from hundreds of hours of grinding and suffering when you don't get what you wanted. The scrappy stuff system at least gives you an alternative to just purchase the item up front, although it still takes days of pain to get enough. Also, I am not just hitting on COD. Star Wars Battlefront 2, the new one, is even worse than Call of Duty. But hey, they fixed it at least by increasing the chances of earning everything dramatically, as well as removing microtransactions completely.
It's time to stop!
The campaign is just Saving Private Ryan, directed by Michael Bay. Go watch Gaming Sin's video on it for a more in-depth review, because I don't really feel like talking about it.
Remember, kids, sideways for attention, long ways for results. End it. Where the fuck are your parents? Who are your parents? I'm gonna call Child Protective Services. It's time to stop!
I practically mentioned everything wrong with the multiplayer already with the supply drops and all that. But it gets worse. When I first purchased the game, I played the War Mode first before I played anything else. First, War Mode is just a downgrade copy of Operations for Battlefield 1. It's kinda obvious. Also, Operations is in the name of every War Mode map. You can somehow put up brick walls in seconds. You also have to build a bridge wall in a firefight. There is so much wrong there. And do I have to mention that the American with a German Kar 98 Curse that apparently allows you to select between bolt action and fully automatic. When I first loaded into my first game of War Mode, it was so laggy. It was so bad. I didn't get a single kill the entire match. Now onto the other features. Every gun in the game has zero recoil, allowing you to shoot people from any distance with anything that isn't a shotgun.
Oh, fuck yeah! This is the shit! Kill me now! Ugh.
Well, for a starter, I haven't played the Zombies mode yet. Hence, I don't want to talk a whole ton about it. Although I watched a live stream of Critical, you know, your boy Critical, playing the map. And I have to say, it looks pretty good so far. It reminds me of Mob of the Dead and Origins from Black Ops 2, some of my favorite maps. From my small perspective of the mode, I don't think anything's wrong so far. So what could go wrong? If you stayed for the entire video, I congratulate you. Now you understand my hatred towards this game with me being well invested into firearms and military history. If you see anything wrong with what I said, you can tell me in the comments. Just don't fight. Like seriously, don't fight. If I did make mistakes, I'll make a video correcting them. And remember, this is my opinion, except for the historical mistakes, because history isn't an opinion. You can't change history. Well, you could, but then that would be lying. Anyhow, see you in the next video. Also, if this video could get 2 trillion likes, 2 trillion likes, and I'll pour 2 liters of soda on my head. Thanks for watching.